that you can see what I'm doing, because we're going to make 3 of the dark blue and 3 of the teal. So let me get it all fixed up so you don't miss anything. It's hard to know with the camera angle where things go, so it's like the camera's right here, but you have to scoot everything over. Okay, so we're gonna do 3 of each color, 3 of this teal-y blue, aqua, and then 3 of the smokier blue. Okay, so for each cross, what I normally cut out are 2 pieces that are about 1 inch shorter than the canvas, okay? So I've cut out 2 long pieces for each cross. Hey, Robin. Hey, hey, hey. And then I cut out 4 1-inch-ish. Some are a little shorter, some maybe a little longer. 4 horizontals for my cross for each one. Okay, so you can see that one's a little bit longer, and it doesn't matter. I like them to be different. I don't like them to be perfect. Oh, Susan, you're so awesome. And so we are going to do those. And same for the blue. We have 2 blue for each cross. That's right, 1 piece, this size. A piece this size, a 5x7, because these are 35. Okay, so, and I've got the 4 each of the horizontal pieces for the darker blue. But before I do that, I'm going to show you just real quick, just a real quick demo, kind of just a fake demo. It's 37, Darlene. And you can go to theshatteredcircle.com and see all the information that you need to know about what is inside the Shattered Circle. It's lots of goodness, lots and lots of goodness. I totally love all my people. Okay, so what I do is take my scoring tool, and I have a square that I can so I can cut a straight line, and I'm just cutting, these are 1/2 inch strips, and my grid is a 1/2 inch, so it makes it really easy. I just line it up with my grid, and I score 1/2 inch long strips out of my glass, and then I snap them with my running pliers, which is what these are, running pliers, and then I end up with strips that are about as long as this glass, and then all I have to do is break them in half. So I have 2 per. Okay, so all of these techniques are inside the Shattered Circle too. We don't leave you hanging for anything. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go ahead and get started. So the first thing I like to do is use a very small amount of glue. I'm gonna flip this. Hang on 1 second, guys. Pause for station identification, because I want you to see the full effect of what I'm doing. So I'm gonna flip it upside down so that you can actually see that. So that you can actually tell what I'm doing, so you don't have to see it upside down. Okay? Now we all can see the right way. So I like to use just a little bit of this Aleene's clear tacky glue on my crosses because, hey Terry, how are ya? Yay, Louise! That square is gonna make so much difference in your life. Yes, Brandy, yes. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit of this clear glue because we are going to turn these glass strips up on their side. They're not going to lay flat. We're going to put them up on their sides to give our piece some dimension, okay? And then we're going to do the same with the little side pieces. And what this will do, the glue, we're not going to use a lot because if you use a lot of glue, it's going to take a little longer to dry, and we don't want it to take forever. Hey, Deborah. Absolutely, Sarah. We have some really basic beginner classes, and we have a lot of tutorials that are for breaking glass, for how to tint resin. We cover all the bases. So, and we have a lot of members in there who hold your hand and walk you through step by step, and we don't leave anything to chance. It's for beginners and for those who are a little more advanced and maybe have worked with resin before. So we even tell you how to set up your workspace, all the goods. So I am going to go ahead and show you how I don't know what to do. I'm going to show you what I do, and you see how these two pieces are kind of the same size, but I want to kind of make them a little bit different. I want to push one up and one down so that they're off center. And then I'm going to just take a tiny bit of glue, and I'm going to just run a little tiny bit on the back side of this glass because we don't want to get too much and it takes forever to dry. Then I'm just going to eyeball to the center. And if you have a hard time eyeballing, I'm pretty good at measurement that way, but if you have a hard time, after you've painted your pearl and before you get started, you can just take a little watercolor pencil and make one little dot in the center of your canvas so you'll know where to put your cross so it's not janky. So now I'm going to do the same thing to my little sidebar pieces. We'll put them right here. And the same over here. Thank you, Rhonda. I'll tell you what, our group inside the Shattered Circle, we have our own private Facebook page, and I've never met in my entire life so many encouraging and caring women. They are seriously all that and a bag of chips. So it's not one of those groups where people are criticizing or people are judging. We have no drama llama BS going on in the Shattered Circle. We love each other. We care about each other. We help each other. We encourage each other. That's how it is, period. We don't do drama up in the house. Oh, I forgot, Christy, about the vault. So I'm gonna tell you about the vault real quick, but I'm just gonna keep going so you can see what I've done. And I'm gonna keep going so it'll give each of these a little time to dry before I do my next thing. So I'm gonna glue them all up on their sides. So inside the Shattered Circle, guys, we've had so much content in there, so many tutorials, that it was getting a little difficult to navigate. Yay, Marilyn! It was getting a little difficult to navigate. So Christy, my girl Christy, went in today and created a vault of past tutorials, and they're so much easier to pick and choose because it's you can look at the picture now instead of just seeing the YouTube video. You can tell by the picture what you're looking at. So the only thing that is on the workshop tab is the most current 3 videos. And then we have a vault. You can click on the vault and it shows all of the videos from the past, a whole year's worth of content, a year's worth of videos lined up in the vault. And you guys, if you are already in the Shattered Circle, you got to go check out the vault. And then you got to show Miss Christy some love because she is working so hard to make our little circle easier to navigate, and she is just taking care of business. All right, I'm just going to keep gluing. Now remember to use just a small amount, just enough to keep them held up. And if they look like, see how this one looks like it wants to split in the middle? I am just going to put a tiny drop of glue right between those two pieces, and just that stickiness will help stick them together. All right, so let's straighten that out. Don't be terrified. No, oh, Susan, yeah, you ain't terrified anymore. I know you. You're slamming and jamming. The resin is not scary, guys. We make it so easy for you to figure it out. I did, Judy, and I messaged you back. So what I actually told you was to don't do anything until I can take a look at it. But I don't think it processed. But me and Christy are gonna take a look at that first before you do anything. So don't do anything till you hear from me. How about that? Yay! Christy is awesome. She is the shiznit. Oh my God, she did such a good job. She is always taking care of me. Christy is pretty much the only person I will let boss me around. Yes. Okay, so I want to tell you something, guys, right now. If you are joining, or if you have joined, or if you plan to join, I want to kind of walk you through one or two things right now so you don't get lost in the shuffle. Not that you get lost in the shuffle, but I don't want you to get confused about what happens next. So once you join, you should get an email that's asking you to confirm your membership, and that kind of is the process. Am I correct, Christy? That's the process of joining. You join, then you complete your registration. If you don't complete your registration, you don't get the next email that tells you what to do, where to go, and all of that stuff. Because what you'll do after you completed your information, sorry, I gotta hold my mouth right while I'm putting these little cross things on. After you put in your information and register, you are going to get an email from me that welcomes you inside, kind of gives you a heads up about what's happening and where to go. And there's also a link to the Facebook page that is just for us crazy Shattered Circle girls and boys. We got boys too. So make sure you complete that registration and check for that email. Sometimes they go into your spam box, so make sure you check that they're not in spam, because that happens all the time. I don't know why I don't spam anybody. Yeah, Christy says you will need to create a username and password after payment. Then wait, don't leave. Stay there until you're redirected to a page that will, and that's all I got. That's all I got. Let's see. Let me see. Redirected to a page that will let you enter the Shattered Circle. Okay, I had to look at my phone. So yeah, be patient. It might take a second or two if you have country internet like me especially. Might take a second or two for it to redirect you. Just don't log out. And here's the thing. If you think you logged on or if you think you registered and you're not 100% sure because maybe something janky happened, don't do it again. Don't re-register. Just stop there. Wait for that redirection. If you don't get it, email me or Christy. You can email Christy at info@theshatteredcircle.com, and we will check you out and make sure everything is happening the right way. For longer pieces, I must have missed how long you cut them. They are about between 4 and 4.5 inches each, these vertical ones, and you can see that some are shorter, so anywhere between 4 and 4.5 inches. I like to have about an inch or a half inch at the top and the bottom. So let's see. So yeah, so I try to keep them shorter than my canvas. So if you had a 6x6 canvas, depending on that, just make sure they're a little bit shorter than your canvas. Okay, so these are all glued on. They're all sitting upright. They look really nice. They look nice and centered. So guess what we're gonna do now? Yeah, gee, exactly, remember to log out. So we'll go through all that on the Facebook page. So here's how it's gonna work. We are going to be open till Friday, okay? So we're going to allow new members in until Friday, and then we're going to shut the doors, and on Sunday, we're going to have a hoorah. We're going to have a fun little online party and welcome everybody in, and tell you what to expect next. So don't worry about that right now. Just get in the door, and that way you can take advantage of this sexy piece. This is the bonus tutorial for signing up before midnight tonight. You get the tutorial for red bottoms. It's video tutorial with a PDF and a tracer. I do not have chips in stock. I am bugging my dude to death about chips, but I have maybe 2 cups worth, and I'm hoarding those for myself. But sweetie, I will let you know the minute I do. I love the word janky, Michelle. Yes, these are 5x7. So once you get in, just kind of look around, go into the units, and go through the process there, and then wait on us to tell you what to do. The one thing I don't want you to do is go in there and freak out and get overwhelmed. Okay, let me tell you what these little pieces are. These pieces are just scraps of glass, okay? Now, I get scraps from a guy here in Georgia who does glass blowing, okay? But you don't have to use scraps like that. It can be a little bit of a broken vase. It can be a jewel, like some costume jewelry. It can be, you know, just any little thing that you can place right in the section, the cross section of the cross. The cross section of the cross? It's probably, Linda, because I keep putting my hand up, so it's trying to focus on one thing or the other. Because, you know, country internet. Yes, we like to party. Okay, so I am going to apply all these, and see, this is just a tiny bit of a broken vase, and so is this one. This was like a little candle jar, one of those little, like a 4-inch round little candle jar that came from Hobby Lobby, and it was broken, and I like broken things, so we always keep them. So all I'm gonna do is put a little bit of glue right in the middle of that cross on each one. That's a fairly decent sized blob. Not too much though, because you don't want to take 6 days to dry. And then we're going to put those little pieces on there, and then we're going to see how much resin it takes to make 6 crosses. Okay, so now we're going to just, it must be the wine. I needed wine. I meant to text my husband and tell him to go get me some wine. It's wine 30. I haven't had wine in a few days because it's too hot. Sometimes when it's too hot, you don't want wine. It's like, no, no, no. I'm going to put that one over there because it's flatter. It's too hot. And I like red wine, so yeah. Red wine and 99 degrees outside don't quite mix. That is adorable. I love this piece. I can't wait to see what it looks like. I'm going to hold it up a little closer to, and you see I am putting a little bit of glue on my cross section and a little bit of glue on my little glass piece too, just because some of these are curved. They're kind of concave or whatever you want to say. And so I want to make sure that the glue sticks them together. So it's like sandwiching the glue. Electra Red, I hear ya. Hey, Heidi. So I'm just going to keep going. We're going to put a little glue on this one. I love this piece. Look how fantastic that piece is. Can you see how it just, it's iridescent, how it shines? That is one of my favorite pieces. I literally, when I got all my chips, I literally pulled it out because I came across it one day, pulled it out and put it in a separate little a separate little container so I'd make sure I kept it for myself. Is that mean? It's from wine to tequila. I hear you, girl. So I want to show you a couple of these close up because they're my favorites. I love this one. I want to see if you can see just how pretty that piece that goes on the center is. It really makes a huge difference than just leaving them plain. And let's look at this one because that is kind of an iridescent gold. Can you see how that sparkles? So pretty. And my favorite. This is the piece I hoarded for myself. I hope you can see it. It is so pretty. It's got like iridescent purple and green and gold all in it. So yeah, so let's put our top back on. Put our top back on. Okay, and guys, I'm gonna give you a hint too. This glue annoys me beyond comprehension because it's in a bottle. So you put the top back on really well and then store it upside down. Because when it starts to get low and you store it right side up like this, it'll take 10 minutes for that glue to get all the way down to the tip of and so I like to just put it in a cup upside down like that, and then you don't ever have to sit and wait 10 minutes for your glue to get back down to the tip. Yes, ma'am, we sure do. Now, pricing is dependent on your area, I think, your level of expertise, you know, kind of how long you've been doing it, but we definitely cover pricing. We talk a little bit about selling on Facebook. We had a guest instructor, guest professional, I'm not sure what to call her. We had Ashley Rates in our group about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and she covered the topic of how to sell on the Facebook. And so we do try to cover those things, craft shows, and how to create your own Facebook page for your art pieces and all that stuff. So we do try to help out in that manner as well. Isn't it annoying, Dee, when you can't get the glue out? Yay, Kim! I can't wait to add all your names to my art board. So I want to show you the art. Well, I can't because it'll be upside down. I'll show it to you when we're done. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't want these all stuck together like this when I resin because these crosses are a little more difficult to resin than normal because you want to make sure you get the sides covered really well. So I'm going to move a couple of them over, and I have some blocks set up. I'll show you that in just a second. Let me move a couple of these over out of the way, and then we'll do 2 at a time. And I'll show you the block setup that I use. So we'll do 1 of each. So I use these scrap blocks and these are just scraps of wood. You can see I practiced my pumpkin stem on this one before I went to my canvas. But these are just scrap blocks that I have in my little bucket of blocks, and I put them underneath my canvas. So you want to make sure that, I want to grab something so I can show you. You want to make sure that your block is smaller than your canvas. Like, see how you can see all the way around? There's like a 1/2 inch all the way around. So you want your block to be smaller than your canvas, but not so small that it falls in the hole, okay? So make sure you got some good blocks to elevate your piece so that you do not resin your pieces to your table. Yeah, keep them turned over. Yay! I'm so excited. Okay, so no bubbles. We are going to actually put some crushed glass on these, just a little smattering of crushed glass. And I left it over here on this table, so let me grab it. We're going to use this and this. So I like to use just a little handful of crushed glass on the top. And here's what I do. Like, this is the Azuria Reflective. It's kind of the same color as this blue. So here's what I like to do is just get a small handful in my hand, and then I'll just hold my hands over the top of my cross and see how it's kind of spread out and drop. And then I just let it kind of be where it is so it's more organic and I don't mess with it. So for the other one, and that's Azuria Reflective. For the other one, I am going to use, I got to dig down in the bottom for the little pieces. This is, hang on, I gotta dig out. For some reason, my last batch of Pacific Blue Reflected has some really big pieces in it. You don't like them. Okay, so this is Pacific Blue Reflective. And do the same thing on this one. I'm just gonna hover over, kind of in a line, and drop it. And just, it is what it is. Let it be. Because normally when I do these, I will do mass quantity. I will do 20, 30, 50 at a time. So I just line my table out. Hang on, I'm micromanaging a little bit. I'll just line my table out and I will paint 30 canvases, let them dry. Then I will take my glass and glue the glass on all 30. And then I'll put the tops, the little beads on, all 30. Then I'll put the glass on, all 30. Then a resin, all 30 at the same time. So I don't do just tiny bits of them. I do a good bit at a time. Because these sell hotter than pancakes. Especially at Christmas, especially for holidays, for Christmas, at the end of the school year, at the beginning of school year. They make great teachers' gifts. So I sell these like crazy. So don't think they won't sell. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add a little bit of glass to these that are over here so that we can resin them all together. So let me throw some glass on these other ones. And you know, how much glass you use is up to you. You could use you could use a little less, you could use a little more. Just do it to your own taste. Do what you like. I'm all about doing what you like. So let me do this one. That one quite enough. Those are big old chunks. I do this one. I know y'all can't see what I'm doing. I'm trying to put a little bit more glass on the other 4 so that we can resin them all and we won't have to hesitate. There we go. Oh, I do put words on the canvas sometimes. Let me show you. Sorry, I had to go grab one. If I put words on them, I usually use a bigger canvas. But here is an example of one that I put words on. Oh, can you see that? Is it backwards? Well, that says Amazing Grace, but I guess it's backwards. Let me see. Is that better? So yeah, this is one I have words on, and this is an 8x10 canvas. I would say maybe 2 tablespoons of glass, not even a 1/4 cup. You know, just take what can fit in your hand comfortably and just psh, that's all it is. Okay, so now that I have them elevated, I have my glass on, we are gonna get our resin mix. So I'm gonna push these up just a little bit. Oh, inside this shattered circle, we teach you how to do this too. Because you have to use the right pen. And I give you a little bit of a lettering cheat on how to add lettering and words to your glass art that makes it easy. Okay, so we're gonna mix resin. So I'm gonna put my gloves on because we always wear gloves when we resin. I'm gonna take my watch off because we don't wear our watch when we resin. Put it over here, which is where it'll probably be for 2 days. Let me see. No, Beverly, that I did a lettering cheat. I traced it on and then painted it. A little bit of a lettering cheat. Because I have arthritis in my hands and it's hard for me to letter things, like write it out, hand letter. It's really hard for me to hand letters, so I don't even try because my hand gets all shaky. And so I just do a little cheat. So I think we're going to need an ounce for each one. Okay, so we have 6, so I'm going to mix 6 ounces of resin. Here's what I use. I know, guys, some of you that are here a lot hear this every time, but I'm always going to tell you. So I hope you don't get tired of hearing it. I always use art resin, okay? You can find it on the interweb. You can find it on artshattered.com under links I love, or you can find it at artresin.com. It is a non-hazmat, non-VOC, no BPA, food-safe resin with the highest rated non-yellowing on the market. I don't get a commission for saying that. I don't make money off of resin. Nothing. I'm just telling you how I feel and what the truth is. You know, I make nothing for telling you that. Okay, so I'm going to mix I'm going to need 6 ounces for all 6 crosses. So they're 5 by 7, Jerry. So I'm going to mix 3 ounces of resin and 3 ounces of hardener. I hope I am, because this one's about empty, so we'll see. We might be mixing less. I'm going to see what I have. So I'm going to just open up my resin and pour into my cup. Now, if you are a new resin person, you don't have a lot of experience with resin, oh, I'm not even going to come close. I'm going to have to get another container. Then you should always measure in 2 cups. You'll put the hardener in 1 cup, the resin in the other, so that you have an accurate measurement. Yeah, that's not even going to be close to 3 ounces. I'm not even going to try. Let's see. Okay, so now I have to remember what this is. This is the resin. Has the black top. I'm going to put it right there so I can get my other container. Do y'all hear my rolly stool? Whee! Aren't they pretty? Okay, so I have another container of resin. It's a bigger one. I just like to use the little ones for lives. So I'm going to go ahead and pour in 3 ounces very slowly. And you know, if you are measuring, pour really slow, because this stuff will grow on you. It's kind of like molasses. It takes a minute to level out. So don't think you're going to just pour and then stop at the line, because I promise you, if you stop at the 3 ounce line, if you pour all the way to the 3 ounce line, then 2 seconds later, you're going to suddenly see that you have more than that, because it does kind of grow on you. So I got a little too slow there. Have to let it grow. 1 more little dollop. There, 3 ounces. The longest piece is about 4.5 inches. So I'm going to put, don't distract me for a second. I'm going to put these aside. This is the one with the black top, the resin. I'm going to put these out of my reach so that I know that's what I already poured, since I'm pouring in 1 cup. I don't want to mess that up. Okay, so now I'm going to pour the hardener, which has the white top. We're going to pour 3 more ounces right into here. Again, if you're new, use 2 cups. Because if you don't mix it correctly, you're going to have a hot mess on your hands, and you're going to be very sad. We go through resin techniques very thoroughly inside the membership. We never skip that part. Every tutorial we do, there is the resin process as well. We never skip that, because it is the most important. All right, we're done with you. So I need the white top. Right, y'all? It's the most important process. So let's see. Hey, Miss Carolyn. Woo! Got a little crazy. So let me see. Ooh. Let it grow. Let it catch it up to itself. It doesn't matter which one you pour first, Karen. You can pour whichever one. Doesn't really matter as long as they are equal. It's a 50-50 mix and you want them to be equal. That's why it's easier if you're new to pour in 2 cups, because if you accidentally get a little more hardener, then you can add a little more resin if they're in 2 cups and just make sure they're equal. But if you're pouring it in 1 cup, oh my goodness, once you make that boo-boo, it is Katie bar the door. Had to take a drink. My throat was getting dry. Okay, so we have 6 ounces of resin in our little cup now. So I am going to start. I don't know if my little timer girl's here, but I'm going to start mixing, and I want to turn this up so I can talk to you upside down. Hello! I should just stay like this and talk. Wouldn't people freak out if they came in the middle and it was like, why is that chick upside down? Is she high? Okay, so let me move this so I can see your words. There we go. All right, so we have to mix this for 3 minutes. And here's what you do and don't want to do. Where's Rima? Is Rima in the house? Okay, so we're going to mix for 3 minutes. I'm just going to use this little popsicle stick. And here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to take your stick and just be whipping, 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 whipping. You want to slowly stir. Okay, because as you're stirring, you're incorporating air into, thank you, Cynthia. You're incorporating air into the resin just naturally. It just happens, okay? So what you don't want to do is stir really hard and fast. You want to stir slow and just keep mixing for 3 minutes, because the harder you mix and the faster you mix, the more bubbles you're going to have. Now you're going to have some, it's going to happen, but you don't want, once you get to whipping too fast, your resin gets so many air bubbles, hey Debbie, that it starts turning white, and then you're going to fight so hard to get those bubbles out, and I don't want that to happen to you, because sometimes you can hardly get them out. So we're going to stir for 3 minutes, nice and slow. We're going to scrape our sides every few seconds, scrape the bottom, and just keep stirring. So if anybody, sorry, I wasn't trying to sling my hair back like, I was just trying to get my hair out of my face. If anybody has any questions about the crosses or what we're doing, right? Exactly. Well, I was trying to be nice, Inga. If anybody has any questions about the shattered circle or what we're doing, I would love to answer those questions now. So, yes, by volume, not by weight. So make sure you're doing a 50% mix. Time is up. All right, so I am going to point you back down. I'm going to flip you. If you do a larger canvas, how long should the cross points be? If you do a larger canvas, like for example, here, this one is an 8 by 10. So you see it's about a 1 inch from the top and about almost 1 inch from the bottom. So I like to keep them about half an inch to an inch away from the edges of your canvas. Does that help? Okay, I'm going to flip back upside down. I'm going to stand on my head for 1 second. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, you still have a minute? I think you started late. Yeah, I'll go over that real quick, Julie, as soon as I pour. I don't want to waste. Oh, hello, darling. I'm going to turn back down to our crosses. And I'm going to pull them apart a little bit so that they aren't dripping on each other. And hey, Christy. Christy's in the house. Christy is the owner of the social, oh my God, what is wrong with me? The Social Easel. And she is a fantastical artist in her own right. And we'll be talking more about her next week. Miss your face, girl. You need to come to Georgia and drink some wine with me. Okay, so I am going to cover our crosses, and I like to start with the pieces that are standing on their edge. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I get and I'm drizzling with the popsicle stick, and let me tell you why. People ask me this all the time, why I don't just pour it over the top. You have to drizzle, especially when you have glass piled up, so that the glass it coats the top, it runs through the layers and to the bottom, to the canvas, and glues it all together. If I just dump it, if I just pour, you're going to end up with too much resin. It's wasteful, and I am cheap, and I am not about to waste one drop of resin. And it's less waste, less drippage running down the side of your canvas, and it ensures that, and I think I have too much resin, it ensures that all the glass gets covered. So I'm going to cover my little standing up bits first to make sure they all have resin on them. Do this, especially those ends. Well, Kathy, what do you think's wrong with yours? We can talk about that. So now I'm going to hit the little glass bits. Now these are really easy to get a little too much resin on, so I would encourage you to less is more. Sometimes it'll run off these cut pieces, and then it'll start flowing out, and you'll have more than you thought you did. So give yourself a little grace. You're probably gonna over pour the first couple of times you do it, but it's okay. We all learn the hard way sometimes. But that, you know what? I'm glad I said that, because here is what I want for you. I want to help you avoid that. You know, I started doing resin art, whatever you want to say. I started doing it about 9 years ago. And the first time I ever saw a piece that had glass on canvas was in Tampa. And we were at a art gallery, and it was very different though. It was more like a sheet of glass that had shattered on top of a canvas. And then I saw some work that Mary Hong did in Destin, and I was like, I have got to make me some glass art for my house, because I was living in Florida at the time. Well, nobody wanted to help me. Nobody wanted to tell me any hints or tips. Nobody wanted to tell me what I should use. Nobody wanted to help me cut glass. I would go on YouTube, would go on Pinterest, and I would get so much conflicting information. Okay, so let me pause my own self and tell you that what I did was used my stick to kind of spread it around to cover the entire canvas, but not so much that it runs down the sides of my canvas. So we've applied just enough to keep it on the top only and not run it down the sides, because that can cause drips. But also, to avoid drips, if you're a little heavy-handed at first, you can run tape along the back side of your canvas, just some blue painter's tape. Just run a bead of tape, run a strip of tape all the way around the back side, or even on the sides, to keep your resin from dripping down the sides of your canvas. So yeah, so I started doing it, and I wasted so much glass, and I wasted so much money, and I was using the wrong resin. I was using crap. Seriously, I was using bad resin. I was struggling with cutting glass. Nobody would give me a hand. Nobody wanted to tell me what I was doing wrong. And, you know, I hate that. I've always been in the art industry. Well, not always. For 20 plus years, I've been in the art industry. And that attitude pretty much ran rampant in the industry that I was in. It was a very me, mine kind of industry. Nobody wanted to share process. Nobody wanted to help anybody else. So I'm a chick with a teacher's heart. I like to help people. So my goal, well, I actually started teaching faux finishing back in the day when I was in that same industry. And, you know, people would be surprised when I would even teach people who lived in my own neck of the woods. I ended up becoming best friends with a girl who lived in my city, who came and took my class out of state. I was teaching in Kentucky, and I was living in Mississippi, and she came from my very own hometown to take my class in Kentucky, and people were shocked that I would allow that. Like I was creating my own competition. And that makes me crazy, because you're not. You're being a good human, number one, and there is enough work and there is enough customers for everybody. There's billions of people on this earth. Nobody is competing with anybody. So that was my mindset. So I decided I needed to teach people this. Once people started kind of catching on and loving it, I started teaching some little classes here in town. And, you know, that is just my first love, is teaching people, helping people. So my job is to help you not make all the mistakes that I did. Collaboration over competition all day long, sister. That's what it's about. I'm going to move these two out of my way so I can keep putting resin on the others. Yes, Christy. Christy is one of my collaborators as well. Christy is an artist, and we're in a little group together, and we love each other. We help each other. We love each other. We support each other. We got each other's back. All the things. None of us, we're all artists, and none of us feel competitive against. That's right, Kathy. There's room for everybody, and that's how I feel. So my goal in the Shattered Circle is to help you, is to help eliminate all those problems that I had to go through to learn how to do this. To eliminate all the mistakes, to eliminate all the wasted time and all the wasted money that I spent for a year and a half because nobody wanted to help me. So that is my goal, is to not treat you like I was treated, because who likes that? That's not sweet. That's not sweet acting. So I'm going to just keep resining my little strips first. Ruth, it is just a tiny chunk of glass. This one is just a little, you can use vase glass, you know, just any little broken piece of glass. You could use like an old costume piece of jewelry. In one of the classes that I taught early on when I first started teaching here in Georgia, a girl wanted to make crosses for her family, for some of the women in her family, and she had some of her grandmother's old costume jewelry, and her grandmother had passed, and so she made crosses for all the women in her family and put little bits of the costume jewelry on the crosses to give to her, the women in her family. Was that not a touching thing to do? I mean, how sweet is that? Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Irene. You know, it just makes my heart happy. You know, my husband, I'll be looking on Facebook and somebody will ask me a question, and even my husband sometimes will be like, they're not in your group. Why are you telling them that? It's like, because I can and because I should. Seriously. But he's always like, what are you grinning about? And I just like helping people. I just do. That's just who I am. Just who I am. Let me see. So I've all the glass is covered now, so I'm just going to add a little bit more resin to the outside edge, and I'm just going to, normally I would use my hands, but because I have so many to do, I don't want to get my hands too icky, and then I'll have resin everywhere. So I'm just using my stick to spread it out and cover the entire top surface of the canvas. Christy, are you paying attention? Am I going to have to come over there where you are and resin that piece? Did you get a kit, or did you get just some resin and some glass? Still waiting on you to resin that piece. So that one is covered. I'm looking at it from an angle. You can kind of look at it from an angle and see how much, and see that you have it all covered. Kind of let the light shine on it, because anywhere where there's a miss, like I see one right there at the very top, anywhere there's a miss, it's gonna not look as shiny. So you'll be able to come back and just hit that with a little daub. All right, I'm going to push it aside a little. We'll do this one. I love the bead on the top of this one. Thank you, Ag. Appreciate you. All right, I'm just going to cover my little standy-uppy pieces. You see how I'm just making up words now? Standy-uppy. Oh, yes, Mary. Christy's videos are awesome. Love that little chicklet. Her video, it's not just her videos that are awesome. She's awesome too. Her group is on fire. So I've got all the resin on. I've got way too much resin, guys. Uh-oh, hang on. I gotta pause for 1 sec because my phone, still haven't bought a new phone. My phone is trying to die on me, so let's don't do that. All right. Whew. Whew. Sue, it's glass. It's sheet glass, and I'll show you again before we sign off what we made it out of. But it's just that sheet glass that like mosaic artists use. I got it at Hobby Lobby, and I just cut 1/2-inch strips out of the sheet glass and glued them up on their sides so that the cross is dimensional instead of flat. And the long strips are about 4.5 inches. The short strips are about 1 inch each. Don't try to make them perfectly aligned in each one, the perfect measurement though, because I think they're better if they're not. Nothing, how many times have I said this? If I had a nickel for every time I said nothing in nature is perfect, including us human beings. Nothing. So I'm spreading that resin. I know this is taking forever, guys, but it is what it is, I guess. If you need to go eat supper, my feelings won't be hurt. Because we're just doing the same thing over and over. I'm kind of showing you how I do pieces in, I guess, en masse. When I do like a bunch of one thing at a time, I will do normally 20, 30, 40 of these at a time. I've even done 50. And I just do each step on each cross at the same time. So I would lay out 50 canvases, and I would paint them all pearl, let them dry. This is my riser. I would paint them all pearl, let them dry. I would glue all my glass pieces, let them dry, and do each one step by step by step by step. Aw, isn't that sweet? I love her, Debbie. See, that's what us girls do. Straighten each other's crowns without telling them it was crooked, right? I love that saying so much. I love it, love it, love it. So after we're done, I'll be able to tell you how much resin we used. And I can tell you right now, I made way too much. It's a good thing I have something else to cover. Ooh. I'm trying to hurry. Just can't rush it. Agnes, I don't anymore because I'm really good at not having spillover. I've gotten, just 10 years of experience. Every once in a while, when there's something I know is going to seep over the edge, then I will watch it for a few minutes, but I don't really micromanage it that much. It kind of is what it is, and I don't worry about it. I definitely have an I don't worry about it attitude about my art because it is made by human beings. And if you want a perfectly created, a mass-produced piece of art, you probably ought to go to Kirkland's. This is all handmade stuff, so I don't worry too much about little imperfections. But if I know it's going to drip, I will watch it for a few minutes until it kind of tacks up. And then I'll just let it go. Let it be what it's going to be. One more. And then we can check our resin levels because I promise you, we made too much. So notice if you're just coming in, I'm putting them on a block. And this is a small block, but I'm putting on a block so that if there were chance going to be some resin that rolled over the sides, then it would keep our art piece from gluing itself to our table. They're not boxes, they're sheets. It's just they have like a little section of, and it's like a little cubby hole, and it's over where, yeah, in the mosaic glass section where candles are. It's like all the stuff to use to make candles, and there's lots of seashells and stuff like that. But it looks like a bunch of cubby holes, and they have glass sitting upright on its side in those little cubbies. But it's over close to like the craft paint in Hobby Lobby. In the hobbly lobbly, as Jennifer Allwood would say. Oh my goodness, way too much resin. I don't know what I was thinking. I'll tell you I wasn't, because normally Allison, Allison is the one who resins these crosses because I do so many at once. And so she is my resin girl when I have mass quantities of stuff to do. And so I haven't done these in a while. So I'm going to tell you how much I used. So I mixed 6 ounces and I still have 3. So keep in mind that the 5x7 of this cross is going to take about a 1/2 ounce to resin. So keep that, write that down in your little memoirs. I need to write it in mine too, because I'm done gone crazy thinking I needed 1 ounce per. You can tell I hadn't made these in a while. Okay, so that is covered, and that is our last one. I need to take a peek at it. Make sure it's all covered all over. I'm going to set my resin over here. I'm going to take my gloves off because now we are going to use some heat to pop the bubbles. Yes. Yes, we're going to torch once on all of, just a quick little torch on all of the crosses, and then we're just going to leave them be. Where's my torch? Okay, so I am using, I always say this, but I use 3 ounces for 6, Karen. So it's going to take a 1/2 ounce per 5x7. So I'm using a big old propane torch, and I'm using this because I have it. Okay, I used to do countertops with resin, and so I've always had a great big torch, but you do not have to use this big torch. You can use a small torch, like one of those kitchen torches, a creme brulee torch. I got a little drip on the side of that one. A little creme brulee torch, or you can use a heat gun, a small little heat gun, whatever is most comfortable for you. You don't have to use this. This is just what I have. So all we're gonna do is light up our torch, and I'm gonna tell you the 2 most important things. The fire from the torch never touches your canvas. Can you see me and what I'm doing? See how I'm moving really fast over the top. My fire's down low. The flame never touches your canvas, and you never slow down. You go really quick over the top of each. I'm gonna hit them all real quick. Go over the top really quick, moving fast so you don't burn the resin. Because the fire, if you focus on one spot for too long, it will burn the resin. You won't know it for a few days, but if you end up with a little yellow spot, you'll know that you burn the resin. So keep your flame off and keep your hand moving, whether it's a heat gun, a torch, a blow dryer, whatever you use. And never touch the tip. It's hot. It'll burn you. You'll be sorry. Okay, and that is it. We have 6 crosses.